Have you ever just wondered why someone with, say, a PhD in finance gets absolutely wrecked in the market while other people just seem to get it? It's one of the biggest paradoxes in trading. And today, we are going to take it apart piece by piece. Let's dig into why being smart can actually be your biggest weakness.
Just look at this number 90%. That's how many so called expert traders get liquidated. We're talking their accounts go straight to zero. And I don't just mean anybody, I mean quants, people with PhDs in math and physics, literally the smartest people in the room. This isn't some accident. It's a feature of the market, not a bug. And it points to a massive misunderstanding of what it actually takes to win.
So the big question is, if they're so brilliant, why are they failing? The answer, it's really simple, but it can be a tough pill to swallow. The market could not care less about your IQ. It's not going to reward your beautifully complex thesis or your elegant models. No, it rewards one thing and one thing only, your mechanics. Let's break down exactly what that means.
Okay, so let's start with our first big idea here, what I call the IQ illusion. It's this concept that your high intelligence, the very thing that helps you succeed everywhere else in life, can actually become a trap in the totally irrational world of trading.
See, here's the real problem. Smart people are just used to solving complicated problems and, well, being right. So they build this beautiful, logical thesis, and then that thesis gets absolutely shredded by a meme coin or some random sudden shift in market mood. They're trying to solve a math problem, but the market? The market is a psychology experiment running at light speed.
And that brings us to this crucial point, the massive difference between having a great idea and actually making money from it. This is the real battleground, thesis versus execution. So where do you think the real advantage lies? This right here shows the huge mindset shift between amateurs and pros. On the left, you've got the retail mindset. It's all about having this amazing thesis, trying to predict the future, and most of all, about being right. But now, look at the right side, the professional mindset. They are obsessed with flawless execution. They focus on having a mathematical advantage that plays out over, say, 1,000 trades. For them, it is all about process, not about prophecy.
And you know what? It gets even more complicated, because today's markets are just filled with these really sophisticated tech traps, and they're designed to exploit the intelligent but totally unprepared trader. Let's look at how the very tools you use can turn on you.
I love this quote because it nails the first trap, paralysis by analysis. You've got dozens of indicators, oscillators, all these lines crisscrossing your chart, and it feels like you're in control, right? But really, you're just creating noise. The pros, they strip all that away. They just want to see one thing, pure price action. And the next evolution of this is what you could call the AI trap. You build a trading bot, you backtest it until it looks absolutely perfect. But by over-optimizing it on past data, that's a process called curve fitting. You're not actually coding an edge. You are coding a trap. A trap that's going to shatter the second a black swan event hits. One of those totally unexpected game-changing moments in the market. Then you've got this illusion of speed. We all get excited about layer 2 blockchains giving us lightning-fast execution. But here's the cold, hard truth. Speed without strategic patience is useless. It just means you can make the same bad decisions, only way, way faster. And hey, while you're trading faster, guess what? You're also being hunted. Meet the MEV sandwich attack. You think you got a good entry? While on-chain bots see your transaction coming, they front-run you to drive the price up a tiny fraction of a cent, and then they sell their position right back to you for a guaranteed profit. It's basically an invisible tax on anyone who's uninformed.
And finally, we have the ultimate intellectual trap, 0 days to expiration options, or 0 DTE. They look so sophisticated, but trust me, they're a minefield. Why? Because the value of these options decays incredibly fast. That's a concept called theta decay. It is a relentless clock ticking against you that will bleed your portfolio dry unless you are a true specialist. It's a game that's basically designed for you to lose.
So, let's say you navigate all of those tech traps. You're thinking you're safe. But the biggest hurdles, they're still waiting for you, right between your ears. Technology is one thing, but human psychology, that is the final boss in this game. And more often than not, your own brain is your biggest enemy. This leads us to the single biggest mistake that high IQ traders make, position sizing. They get so convinced by their own brilliant thesis that they size up, massively, when they feel certain. They over-leverage a can't-miss idea. But you know what? The market has a brutal lesson waiting for them. There are absolutely no certainties.
This all leads to something we call the brain drain. See, you only have so much emotional capital. That's your mental and psychological stamina. Smart traders, they burn it all out trying to outlogic the market 24/7, and that creates this crippling decision fatigue. Now look at this chart. When your emotional capital just plummets, what do you think happens to your financial capital? It's going to follow right behind it, every single time.
So I've got to ask you a question, and I want you to be honest with yourself. Are you actively, relentlessly looking for reasons why you are wrong? Or are you just cherry-picking data that confirms what you already believe? Because if you can't invalidate your own thesis, you're not a trader. You're just a cheerleader for your own ideas.
And all of this leads to the final and honestly, the most critical hurdle. You can have the most perfect, data-driven macro thesis in the entire world. You can have the best tech, you can understand all the traps, but absolutely none of it matters if you can't pull the trigger. We call this the execution gap. It's that vast, treacherous space between knowing what you should do and actually doing it when you're under pressure. This gap, this is the great equalizer. It is where intelligence fails and discipline has to take over. It's where markets are won and lost.
Okay, so we have laid out all the reasons why smart people lose. We've exposed the tech traps, the IQ illusion, and all the psychological flaws that lead to ruin. That was the why. So in part 2, we're going to give you the solution. We're going to break down step by step how to build the professional system that closes that execution gap and turns solid mechanics into real profit. You are not going to want to miss it. All right, welcome back. In part 1, we completely ripped apart the myth that a high IQ is your golden ticket in trading. So now that we've cleared away all that rubble, it's time to build. It's time to actually open up the professional's playbook and see what works.
So, what's the secret sauce here? Well, it's got nothing to do with waking up every morning with some flash of genius. Nope. It's about building a machine, a system you trust. You see, professionals win because they rely on these unemotional, repeatable systems that just grind out an edge over time. They are not trying to reinvent the wheel with every single click.
And at the absolute core of this professional system is something called the habit loop. Just look at how mechanical this is. It's designed to be a continuous, emotionless cycle. First, you plan your trade based on a set of rules. Then, you execute it, no second guessing. After that, you journal the outcome, and you obsess over what went wrong. And finally, you refine your system with that new data. Plan, execute, journal, refine. That is the machine. No emotion, no guesswork allowed.
This right here, this quote, really nails the whole idea. Look, you can be the smartest person in the room, but the real edge, the thing that actually pays the bills over thousands of trades, comes from this systematic, almost, boring approach. You have to completely let go of that need to outthink the market and just run the machine.
Okay, now we're getting to what is honestly the hardest part of this entire journey. The very skills that made you successful everywhere else in life. Being right, being in control, making quick decisions. Those things can be absolute poison in the market. We literally have to deprogram ourselves and unlearn the exact habits that brought us to the dance.
Let's just be brutally honest about this. In trading, your ego is not your co-pilot, it is your single biggest liability, period. That burning desire you have to be right on a trade, that's a one-way ticket to blowing up your account. The market doesn't pay you for being right, it pays you for managing your risk. Your ego has got to go.
So this whole deprogramming thing, it's all about erasing that deep-seated need for control and learning how to truly be okay with the unknown. And you know when this is most dangerous? Right after a massive win. You get that feeling of being invincible, right? That little God complex kicks in where you think you finally cracked the code. And that, right there, is exactly when the market is waiting to put you back in your place.
Which brings us to this incredibly important and totally counterintuitive rule. The moment you feel the most confident, the most like a genius, that's when you have to be the most careful. Hitting a monster win is amazing, but the professional move is to immediately cut your risk. Having your position size forces you back to discipline and stops your ego from placing a bet that could wipe you out. This isn't a punishment, it's a survival mechanism. This all leads to a fundamental shift in how you see the world. You have to stop thinking of yourself as some kind of brilliant detective solving a complex puzzle. That's not your job. Instead, think of yourself as a casino mechanic. Your job isn't to predict the next spin of the roulette wheel. Your job is to make sure that over thousands and thousands of spins, the house always has a small, persistent edge.
And this really is the question that splits the amateurs from the pros. What do you believe? Do you think the market is a puzzle that your big brain could eventually solve? Or do you see it for what it is, a high-stakes casino where your only job is to manage the odds so they're slightly in your favor?
Let's just break this down, side by side. The puzzle mindset is a total trap. It makes you chase patterns that aren't there and makes you think your IQ is your weapon. But the casino mindset, that's where the professionals live. They don't see patterns, they see probabilities. They don't get rewarded for being smart, they get rewarded consistently for their unshakable discipline.
And this right here, this is the belief that holds up that entire casino mindset. The fact that you won your last 5 trades means absolutely nothing for your next one. And losing 3 in a row doesn't mean you're due for a win. Every single trade is its own statistically independent event. All that matters is that you keep executing a strategy that has a positive edge over the long run.
Okay, so we've hammered on the mindset. Now let's get really practical. Let's look at the actual toolkit, the daily disciplines that pros use to protect their money, and honestly, their sanity in the middle of all this chaos.
First up, journal your demons. You know, amateurs love to screenshot their wins and brag about them. Professionals, they obsessively journal their mistakes. They're not just writing down P&L, they're tracking their emotional state when they got in and out, the real reason they took the trade, every single mistake they made. They are hunting for patterns in their losing behavior so they can stamp it out.
Next tool in the box, the hard stop. So many smart traders fall in love with the idea of a mental stop loss. They think they're disciplined enough to get out when they need to. That's just ego talking. A hard stop is a preset, non-negotiable order that lives in the system. It's the physical circuit breaker that protects your bank account from your emotional brain when the market flashes red. It is absolute mechanical discipline.
Okay, take a look at this number, 80%. Any guesses what this represents? This might be the most shocking tool in the professional's kit. 80%. That's roughly the amount of time that most professional traders spend doing absolutely nothing.
And this gets to the heart of it. Being flat, meaning you have no open trades, is a strategic position. Amateurs, especially the really smart ones, get bored. They feel like they have to always be in the action. And that is a deadly mistake. Overtrading is a direct symptom of high IQ boredom. A true pro has the patience of a stone, waiting, sometimes for days, for only the highest probability setups. So the whole point of all this, the mindset shift, the tools, is to bring it all together. The goal is to completely rebuild your mind for the market. It's like you're installing a brand new professional-grade operating system for your brain. And the installation process, it's pretty simple, but that doesn't mean it's easy. Step 1, you strip away the ego, that need to always be right. Step 2, you install those unshakable mechanics, the habit loop, the journaling, the hard stops. And then step 3, you just get out of the way and let probability do all the heavy lifting for you over the long haul. But here's one final crucial piece of advice. This new operating system you're building, it can't be rigid. The market is always changing, always evolving. The tactics that crushed it in 2021 are probably dead and gone. The next big cycle is going to reward people who can adapt their systems. Fluidity is survival.
So I'm going to leave you with this one question to think about. Your IQ, your intelligence, there's no doubt that's what got you here. It got you in the game. But as we've seen, it might just be the very thing that's holding you back. The real question is, are you going to build the professional mechanics you need to get to that next level?
And of course, the final reminder. None of this should be taken as financial advice. This is all purely for educational and entertainment purposes. You've got to do your own research and always manage your own risk.